Hello and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli. Wait, that's weird. What the hell's going on? Oh yeah, Jacob is unfortunately not here this week. I don't know why I chose to do that little bit right there, but Jacob unfortunately could not make it this week. Again, we're dealing with a lot of different time zones, and we really wanted to have this guest on, and Jacob, we couldn't quite figure out scheduling stuff with Jacob and all that kind of stuff, so Jacob graciously agreed to let the guest and myself handle the episode today. But never fear, he will be back next week and onwards as we keep going through season 1 of Andor, a Star Wars story. This is episode 6 of season 20, episode 162 in number. As I mentioned, I am not alone. Our guest today, she's been on Epic Confrontation. She's been a good friend in the Star Wars space for a long time. We have Moe here. How are you doing, Moe?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about Andor, my favorite.
Absolutely,
my favorite thing to talk about.
I was gonna say there are a few people that I knew once we were getting into Andor, and later on when we get to Rogue One, in probably about 3.5 years, just because that's how long Rebels will take us. I knew there were a few people I need to seek out, and atop that list was Moe. Absolutely. But before we talk about the Eye, what an episode this is, I want our listeners to get to know you a little bit as a Star Wars fan, so I'll ask our first question we ask on the show, which is just generally, how did you get into Star Wars?
I've actually been into Star Wars my whole life. My parents' first date was actually to go see New Hope. So it's been in my family forever. I grew up watching the original trilogy on VHS, and I was just enamored by Princess Leia. She was like just a badass character that I really loved. And I've been watching it ever since. Really liked it as a kid. The prequels were my favorite. Attack of the Clones was on repeat for most of my youth. And Rogue One came out. I watched it. I cried so much. And then I actually didn't revisit it until around 2020 because I found that it was like a really big Star Wars space on Twitter. And it's been downhill ever since.
So our next question
was Star Wars
was gonna be something like exactly where you ended off, which is just how did you get into the Star Wars online space? Like anything else?
Yeah, it was 2020. You know, everybody's on lockdown, and I kept getting recommended. I had a personal Twitter, and I just kept getting recommended all these tweets about Star Wars because Mando was out and it was releasing, and I was like, you know what? What if I just like made a Twitter, the Star Wars Twitter? Because all of my friends were kind of tired of me ranting about Star Wars on my personal. And ever since then, I found a really cool community, good friends. I met you and Buck, and we've been doing Epic Confrontations, which is really fun.
Absolutely.
And we have another one coming up, which is fun.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we cannot wait to have you back. I'm probably going to cut this out, but I want to reassure you. I've been trying to schedule this month 3 different Epic Confrontations matches. None of them have been moving at all. Like, it's not just you guys. I've had trouble moving everybody forward on anything. Like, I think we're probably not even going to record any this month. I think the closest date I got to recording one is the next match we're supposed to be doing in January, and I have a tentative confirmed recording date, which is literally March 1st. So, okay. so it's been taking a long time, but I'm so looking forward to getting back to that, and I'm so looking forward to having you and Buck and Tommy Two Horns back on. And yeah, all that great stuff. But I think let's get to the main topic of this episode, the Eye. We have been following for the last 3 episodes. We've been following the Aldhani crew as they prepare to engage in the heist that little do they know will set off the Galactic Civil War as we know it. Right
it's honestly the morning of the really cool piece of lore there that this one heist that Cassian wasn't even really interested in doing set off this whole turn of events.
Whole chain of events. On the morning of Cassian talks with Nemik, who couldn't sleep last night. That won't be important later. As everybody on the Imperial side, on the indigenous Donnie people who begin their trek across a large swath of the planet as certain parts of the rebels get ready for the heist. The Donnies get ready to fulfill their ritual they do when the Eye arrives once every 3 years, and the Imperials get ready for what they think will just be a fun little day where they get to do some imperialism and watch the Eye. The two rebel groups split up: Terramin, Cassian, Nemik, and Skeen in one group of disguised Imperial officers. Gorn, already ready as his Imperial officer he's been playing for the last 7 years, and El and Cinta, only those two. Very interesting. We'll get into that later. Couldn't be any reason for that.
Right.
Together in like this, like kind of like a whole sort of situation. I don't know. But anyway,
like a little crevice in a
hill. The Imperials in charge of the Aldani station exchange some pleasantries with the Donnie as Gorn makes sure everything is in place.
One of my favorite scenes there when they're passing the pelts over, because I just love that line from the Donnie of "Our ghosts have strong hands and long memories."
That is a really great line, and one of my favorite things about it is that Gorn
mistranslates it.
Completely. I love the implication that he's the only one, but yeah. Give me a second. And then Vel and Cinta put some bombs in place and put some other things in place, and then get down to eventually scale down the facility to eventually break into the Aldani
Such
base.
A good shot. Such a good shot there. Very James Bond.
I promise I'm just doing the summary right now, and we will talk about all these moments more in depth after I finish. I'm not trying. I just want to make sure I'm not like yada-yadaing past any of this stuff. Cinta and Vel then hold the entire family of the guy on top. Commandant Behaz. I had to look on the Wikipedia because I'm like I should ask about ranks more in EC. I really should. That's what I'm learning right now. But anyway, they hold the entire family hostage, emphasizing that they do not want to hurt or kill any of them. They just want to get inside, steal the payload, and get out. But they will do what they have to succeed. Some of the officers notice that some of the comms are down, but they think it's just part of some sort of drill that maybe is coinciding with the Eye, so they don't question it. As Cassian says to Luthen in Reckoning, they walk in just like they belong, and nobody questions it. But eventually, some Imperial officers do question it, and they signal the nearby Alkenzi airbase, and they prep some TIE fighters, which several pilots load up into and start to fly over. When they finally get into the vault, they try to begin breaking the lock as some of the Imperial officers around start to notice that things may not be as they seem. In the middle of it all, Commandant Behaz has a heart attack, and which really is the thing that cues a lot of the Imperial officers into the fact that they are being robbed, and a huge blaster fight begins, is unfortunately killed in the action, as is... I'm really terrible, but I was trying to pay attention to a lot of this. Does Terramin... I think Terramin dies in the...
Terramin does die, sadly.
Yeah. I always miss, I feel like I always miss one of them. Yeah, Terramin dies also in the blaster fight, and Cinta is still guarding the hostages as the rest, Nemik and Skeen and Cassian and Vel, get on the transport that they stole with most, if not all, of that payload, as they're chased by TIE fighters as the Eye reaches its zenith, with Nemik constantly telling Cassian to climb, even though he has been injured by much of the payload crashing down onto him. We will get back to that. As Cinta exits the base, as everybody is still on foot, as everybody's still off by the Eye, They get themselves to a sanctuary moon where Dr. Quadpaw is waiting to treat Nemik, who is injured. Unfortunately, he cannot save Nemik, who dies on the moon of... I forgot they named this. Only by looking at Wikipedia that I remember they named this moon Fresno. With a Z, though. With a Z, which is
with the Z.
Fantastic. And it's ironic because it's one of the only moons in the Star Wars television show that doesn't look like them. We'll get there. Meanwhile, outside of where the doctor is working, Skeen and Cassian have a little bit of a chat where Skeen has revealed he's been lying about everything, and he wants to just shoot all of them, take the money, and go strike it rich on his own. Cassian has had enough of this, guns him down in cold blood, holds Vel and Dr. Quadpaw at gunpoint to make sure he's paid his cut, and leaves Fresno, giving Vel back the cyber crystal that Luthen gave him as a down payment. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, there is an ongoing debate in the Imperial Senate about what to do about the crisis on Gorman that is hastily interrupted when everybody receives the news that the entire Imperial payload was robbed on Aldhani, and Mon sees the entire Imperial Senate, most of whom is not there anymore, reacting to it. Meanwhile, one of Luthen Rail's customers tells him about this in the shop, and he goes behind to the back of his shop to just kind of laugh that this whole thing went down just as he planned. The ISB is put on full red alert as they plan to more fully deal with the consequences of one of the biggest, most high-profile military actions against the Empire since its creation 14 years prior. We got a lot to get into. Let's start at the beginning, Mo. I want to limit our discussion for now, to everything that happens before they break in. Because we got one of the things. Actually, I'll put this to you first. I forgot how narrow focused this episode is, and I do not mean that as a slight against it at all. It's just very interesting to me, and I understand the reasonings why. But with 4 and 5, with Aldhani and the X Forgets, we were jumping around to these various different plot lines quite fluidly. We were going from the Aldhani subplot to Mon, to Luthen, to Dedra, to Ferrix, to all of these places. And although, we could see that the Aldhani stuff was the A-plot, other stuff was getting a lot of time. We check in with Mon for, what, a minute and a half at the end of this episode? We check in with Luthen for a minute. We check in with the ISB for 30 seconds. The vast, vast, vast majority of this episode is singularly focused. And I kept, just because I haven't seen Andor, admittedly, in quite a while, I kept waiting for it. I remember, I was, halfway in, I'm like, okay, when are they going to cut to stuff happening with Mon? I'm like, I could have sworn they did this earlier.
Yeah.
But they just keep the energy going.
Yeah, it's just a movie on the heist. The whole episode is just that. It
is. And of course, we check in with them at the end, which I think is good to see the larger galaxy reaction to this. But what are do you have any place you want to start with, the preparations for the heist, either on the Imperial side or on the Johnny side or on the Rebel side?
Yeah, I like the intro being Nemik and Cassian having that little chat of how, Nemik, he can't sleep. He's thinking about the heist so much, and Cassian's just sleeping like a rock. And I like that he wrote about Cassian, or just Clem in general, about how he's hired to do this, and he wants to believe that it is essentially going to help the rebel cause. And I think that line of Cassian being you'll sleep when it's over is slightly foreshadowing, sadly, but
I caught that as well, which I don't think I've watched this episode complete since it came out, but that line kind of very much stung for me. They reminded me a little bit of Tony Stark at the beginning of Endgame. Same thing, where he was where Pepper asks him hey, you're not going to be able to sleep until you have this idea about this time heist out of your mind, and then at the end of the final battle in Endgame, you can sleep, that you can rest now.
Yeah.
This one in a far more tragic way because Nemik, of course, doesn't get a choice.
Definitely not. But he does die like a rebel hero. He gets them out of there.
He absolutely does. Now just thinking, I was gonna say, speaking of other Marvel references, you know how they released Ant-Man's like an Ant-Man book that he wrote in universe for as an actual book?
Cool, I didn't know that.
The point of that is, I'm like, wait, why haven't they done that with Nemik's manifesto yet?
I would love to read Nemik's.
That's just money right there. That's just that they could just print that and print money. Like get Tony Gilroy to doesn't have to be long or anything like that, but like the role of the role of mercenaries in the Galactic struggle. Like, I would like to read that.
I would like to read
what Nemik thinks about the role of mercenaries in the Galactic struggle.
And I'd love to read his final line in the last episode about fighting and the montage scene. That was that as a little pocketbook like how Cassian carries. I would love that. I would buy it instantly.
printing money. Yeah, no, it's great, and the I do really appreciate that's definitely been part of, I feel like, my growth a lot of as a Star Wars fan is appreciating a lot of these quieter moments. I think the scene between Cassian and Nemik and other stuff with Skeen before, them just hashing it out and building that tension. That's another thing that this episode does, and that Andor does really, really, really well. Is just keeps the slow build of tension going, and I think that the first arc did it well, but I think the Aldhani arc takes it to a new level where, very much, there was a point at which in this episode I'm like, okay, when's the battle gonna break out? And then I had to remind myself, wait, you've seen blasters being fired, and I'm like, no, but bigger.
Yeah.
and I had to remind myself, this is how great they are at steadily ratcheting up the tension just so slightly. And it's not like they just build it up and then it crashes out. No, they keep building it up, and it reaches that it's at a steady climb, sort of.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It's fantastic.
And it's a good look at just the show in general. I mean, this arc does it very well, but the show itself is also just culminating to that last moment on Ferrix that we all were waiting for.
Yeah, we're all headed to Rick's Road.
Sadly.
Yeah. But that's actually something I noticed in this episode that I was interested in your give me a second. I was interested in your thoughts about, which is actually a thought not only about about Andor, but about the Bad Batch, which is that I know there was a theory, after we saw in the Bad Batch season 3 finale, of course, in the epilogue, Omega's now a rebel soldier.
Yeah.
So some people said, wait, I wonder if that's why Hoth, the base on Hoth, is called Echo Base. It's that they were looking for a name for it, and Omega wanted to name it after her good friend Echo.
Ooh, I actually love that.
Which would make sense if they weren't already using the Echo call signs in this episode.
Yeah.
I was holding that headcanon.
I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, I was holding that headcanon in my head, and then I started watching this episode, and they started calling themselves Echo and Valley. I'm like, oh no, that's just the thing they do. I was like, yeah, I like your idea that it could be a little bit of both, because I want to believe that Omega
I would love to see more of Omega's role in the rebellion.
Yeah.
So I do choose to believe
Omega in season 2 of Andor. Never gonna happen, but imagine Omega in season 2 of Andor.
It'd be amazing. I would love that. I mean, we get the ghost in Rogue One, so
yeah, the 1% chance that Tony Gilroy has seen the Bad Batch.
I think Tony Gilroy lies about not watching Star Wars. That dude loves Star Wars.
I think he's grown on it. I was in the chat of the Bombadcast. They were talking about the legacy of. They were doing a stream about the legacy of Star Wars Underworld, that show that George was doing.
Oh yeah,
the mid 2000s. I will admit, this guy, I know he's seen all the Rebels. I know Tony Gilroy's seen all the Rebels because he's mentioned in an interview. He's heard of 1313, which is a deep cut.
Very deep cut.
Though, even though he called it 1369, so that was a moment. This is a direct interview. I swear I'm not making this up. But so he got most of the way there. So I'll give him credit for that.
He's definitely has the Harrison Ford view of Star Wars, that he really likes it, but when people bring it up, he's like, "Oh,
he's like, yeah, no, just get this away from me." It's to see Harrison, like, not only of course going back for the sequel trilogy, but now that he's in the MCU, seeing all his comments about like the Red Hulk and stuff like that, it's so much fun because you never know what he's going to be like. Oh yeah, I'm related to that, and what he's going to be like. No, fuck off. I just don't want to talk about it.
He's definitely loves to hate, or he hates to love things, so he can't give you too much.
Yeah, but yeah, then we get cut to a lot of stuff with the Behazes, which, by the way, stupendous name. The fact that they named this guy J-Hold Behaz, like,
J-Hold is such
God
a name.
God tier Star Wars name. God tier Star Wars.
I actually think, like, if you're born J-Hold Behaz, you have to be an Imperial. There's no way. You were born for it.
And what's his son's name? They all have great names. His wife is named like Raholda or something.
Yeah, Ramolda, I think.
Ramolda, which is also great.
Another good one.
His son is named. Give me a second. I need to know this because it's also a fantastic little Star Wars name. His son's name is Leonard. Leonard Behaz.
Leonard.
Which is also great. Just beautiful.
I love how to make anything more galactic, they just add a different letter. Like, instead of Leonard, just put a T, Leonard.
Yeah.
And then now it's a Star Wars name.
It's great. I was actually interested. I was just looking at the Wikipedia page because I was just looking for some clarification, because I assume after he had the heart attack, he died.
Yeah, right?
No, he's still alive.
Oh.
He's still alive. He just had the heart attack and was just kind of out. Or at least it hasn't been confirmed that he died, which is interesting.
I guess so. I guess he kind of just passes out and we just assume he does a little manual labor.
Yeah. Oh, whoopsie. There's even that scene where, and I will never, like, I don't know if this happens for you sometimes, where like you see trailers and stuff like that, but when the actual moments happen in the show, they can't get uncoupled from the trailers in your mind.
Yeah.
It happened to me with when J-Hold Behaz and I think it's Patagar take a sip from their drink.
Yes.
I could never uncouple that moment in my line from the trailer of they're so fat and satisfied. Like, I can never uncouple those two, because that's the voiceover for that in the trailer.
Yeah, but it fits the scene very well.
Oh no, it is very much like I joked in my notes. I'm like, they had to really nail it down for dumbasses like they had to really like hit the nail on the hammer for the theme for dumbasses like me to make sure, okay, this is the theme that's being presented in this moment. They're so satisfied, they're so comfortable that they don't know what's coming. Yeah.
And it even I love that you actually brought that up, because I think Behaz was expecting to be like promoted that day. Like, he's like, look how well we're doing over here. They're so fat and satisfied. They don't even see everything that's happening.
That's what was the thing with Leonard getting sick, I feel like. Because Behaz, I'm 100% sure Behaz saw this as what was going to be one of the best days of his life.
Yeah.
And it was one of the adjective days of his life. I just wouldn't put best in there.
Yeah, he definitely won't forget it.
He won't forget it. He has been immortalized in galactic history. Maybe not the way he wants to be.
Yeah, but he will be.
He will be remembered. Maybe not the name, because J-Hold Behaz not rolling off the tongue anytime soon.
Yeah,
but,
definitely not.
Yeah. Speaking of the tension building up, there's that moment which I love just before they're about to pull the heist. Which, again, the acting in the series is incredible, and I don't need to say that twice because everybody knows it. But like, there's that one moment with Faye Marseille where just before Vel is like about to give the go, where she just cannot bring herself to do it.
Yeah.
Where she's like, where it's just like, she knows the gravity of this. She
definitely.
knows how crazy what they're about to do is. And she just phrases. And
I love that it... Go ahead.
I was going to say, even Cinta's looking at her like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, she's so confused. And I love that it kind of calls back to episode 1 where Luthen is talking to her and he's like, if someone starts to fall, if things start to crumble a little bit, you have to call it off. And that's definitely ringing through her head, but I don't think she realized
absolutely.
that she would have been the one that's having those thoughts.
And also just like, I think that she's still worried about, like, I think that bringing Clem in, it's like, only, what was it, 5 days before, I think is making her like I think I can totally see the thing happening in her mind where it's like, okay, she's having doubts about Clem, but he seems all right. Okay, maybe it's one of the others that is going to be the problem. But which one is it going to be? Is it going to be Skeen? Is it going to be Terramin? Is it going to be Gorn? She doesn't know, and that level of not knowing is just so terrifying for her.
Yeah.
And it's a very real moment, and I think for Faye Marseille, who I think Vel is my favorite side character of the show.
She's one of my favorites for sure. Her facial acting in that scene is incredible. Like you can see all those thoughts running through her eyes.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite scene that she has in the show, other than the great scene in, I forget which episode this is. It's either Nobody's Listening or One Way Out. Whichever episode she has the scene with Mon in is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I think it's Nobody's Listening.
Yeah, I love the scene of her and Mon on Chandrilla, especially not to do that, cover that moment here before we do that, but especially the moment where Taryn asks her, "Hey, have you found a boyfriend yet?" And her and Mon look at each other like,
she's like, "Nope."
she's like, "Can you believe this, dumbass? Can you believe this?"
He can't read the room. He really can't.
Can you believe this guy asking if I have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
I love that so much. Yeah, no, I think this episode, although I love Vel in this episode, of course, casting Diego Luna is just, there's that great line, which always it's never that I forget how good Diego is. It's just there are moments where he still insists upon reminding me that. There's that moment where it's in the conversation with Nemik, and he's Nemik saying so we're just supposed to be thankful, and he leans and he goes, "Do I look thankful to you?"
Yeah.
That moment is just so filled with this intense are you kidding me right now? Rage.
Yeah.
And I love that. I really do enjoy that moment. I think Diego is one of those things. Actually, I think that Diego, as the series goes on, he gets better and better and better.
Definitely.
I think
in that scene, you could see all the rage in his face, and it just makes me think of baby Diego on Canary, just beating the Imperial screens. He still has that in him. It's just he knows when to bring it out and when to not.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah. I was gonna say, as much as Diego does, as much as Cassian does in this episode, and it's great for him, as much as Skeen does, and great for him. Same thing with Vel, same thing with all of them. I feel for me, this episode belongs to one character and one character only. This episode is Gorn's episode.
Ooh,
Gorn gets to the we'll get to what he commits to at the end of the episode, but what I love is that we've been seeing him as this no-nonsense Imperial officer type in the last episode. And we've known all of this time that what he's doing is a cover so that he can transmit information to the rebellion. But this is the final act. This is his final number. This is his final performance as an Imperial officer. And he does a damn great job. There's a moment I remember thinking about this when I don't even have this in my notes for this, but I would just remember so vividly thinking about this, where he's commanding the 4 squads to deal with to certain positions for the eye. And he goes, squads 1, 2, and 4, cover whatever area it is. Squad 3, come with me. And I was thinking in my head, like, overanalyzing this shit way too much. I'm like, they have to be 3? Like, that seems a little suspicious if you're thinking, like if you're selecting, like, 1, 2, and 4 to do this, and 3 to come with you. And I'm like, wouldn't that raise some eyebrows in anybody? And I'm like, no, because he does it so well. It's the Gorn is like, we were talking about this with Obi-Wan Kenobi, with Tala is another one who does this so well. Who he just knows how to bark out these Imperial commands so well that nobody would ever suspect he's doing anything other than what he's doing.
And there's a throwaway line in the episode where I think it's when the eye is culminating, and it's the guy that catches everything. He's on, doing his job, and the other guy's like running to his post, and he's like, "Don't let Gorn catch you." Like, he just has that persona that it's like he doesn't mess around. Like, don't let him catch you off your post. So when he does bark those orders, you're totally right. Like, they don't second guess it. Like, Gorn's doing what he needs to do. So listen to him, and you won't.
Gorn is being Gorn. There's this immense amount of relief, and while it's so horrifying that it had to end this way for him, there is that relief of, like, finally, I can I don't have to pretending to be who I'm not. Finally, I can, and we'll get to that specific moment later, but it's fantastic. Another great thing that builds that tension is another thing that we've mentioned all across this season, which is Nicholas Britell and his fantastic music, which in the past, I love the themes, but I think the music, because it's a little bit differently styled music than a lot of Star Wars things, it's not
definitely
as... I feel like there's been a lot of... Britell is written in a very specific way, not as much of a soundtrack, more of music that is illustrating what's going on, but is less direct about it than Williams and Williams' scores have in the past. But I think that this episode's music really nailed it tonally, building up that tension, like making sure that everybody knows what is the stakes for what exactly is going down.
Yeah.
Which I very much appreciate. Do you have anything else before we get into the heist?
Oh, I mentioned it earlier, but Gorn's mistranslation of Padani. Yeah. I love that line. I think the reason I love that line is because when it came out in 22, outside of the world politically, it was still tense, but looking at it now, it's interesting to hear, like, Argos have strong hands and long memories, because nowadays you see a lot of, like, history trying to be rewritten, and that line just stings even more, because it's like, no, our people do remember, like, what you did to us and what you're trying to do now.
We will remember. You can try and rewrite it, but we will remember.
Exactly. And then Gorn mistranslating,
which ties into the title of the last episode. The act forgets, but the tree remembers.
Exactly.
What Jacob and I were talking about last episode, it being like, people, that's the one weakness that the Empire and fascist regimes like it will always have, is that people will never forget what you've done to them, and if you take accountability for it, which fascist regimes never do.
Exactly. They could write whatever they want, but people won't forget.
Yeah, it's as we've said. I think we all the beginning of this arc, starting with this arc, is all recorded. Has all been recorded in this administration of the United States. So things are. I'm not saying things weren't prescient then, because we knew we were going to be getting it when we started this. But now that it's actually started happening, it's becoming a lot more prescient now. And I've seen actually a lot of people on BlueSky and other places, like, starting Andor rewatches specifically after the inauguration, and I'm like, I'm just glad that the timing worked out for us. Like, we were gonna be doing it no matter who was inaugurated at this point, but timing was just like, okay, you're gonna watch Andor now, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, I guess we're at the point in the timeline. We're gonna watch Andor now. Yeah, actually, I have one more moment before, which is actually that's not before. That's I wrote down a Vel and Sita moment that I thought was them in that like little crevice, but it was actually them in the base. But so, do you want to move on to when the heist actually starts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So
the culmination.
The first thing I wrote, and I still think it's true, which is that I love how undramatically the heist begins.
Yeah.
Like, you expect them to walk in there, blasters at the ready.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars has gotten us ready for those expectations. And most of the time that does happen, and it's very fun, and I love it.
It's almost like a cold open.
There's some
just
yelling.
Like randomly starts.
Screaming. There is a few blaster shots fired, but nothing much. The Imperials comply with their orders. Everything is going very well, very quietly, very on schedule, and there's this like, I don't know. There's this way I'm trying to describe this. Like, there's this moment where you're like, okay, is there going to be this moment where everything bursts out?
Yeah, where everything kind of falls apart, or
and it just doesn't happen. And you're like, and I don't know if this was you, but like for me, it was like, this is starting to feel a little too quiet.
Yeah, this is too good.
A little too well. And yes, we're gonna get complications afterwards, but not to the like horrendous degree that I think, at least I, the first time watching this, was expecting. Not to say that this goes off without a hitch for them, because clearly it doesn't.
Yeah.
But things don't really start going wrong, I feel like, until they're already in the vault, which is actually, for their record, pretty damn good.
Pretty good. And it's funny that you mentioned how it's like things are kind of going a little too good, and then the music is just kind of building subtly. And so you're like, no, something's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's this constant, like, even in the, that's what I think is so interesting about this episode, is even in the moments where the tension should burst, it's still building.
Yeah. And
everybody's like, building to what?
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's the interesting thing. Once next episode, I'm sure Jake and I will talk a lot about this, about announcement, which is
that's my favorite episode.
Which you expect the dam to burst in this episode, but in many ways, it actually breaks the next episode.
Absolutely.
Which is the Empire freaking the fuck out about, wait, they did what? How the hell did they do that?
They're so fat and satisfied. They didn't think that would ever happen.
They did not think that would ever happen, but yeah. But immediately, even though that's actually something I appreciate the thing I most appreciated rewatching this episode, honestly, is this exchange between Behaz and Vel, which is she's saying like, oh, lead us to the vault and nobody gets hurt, and Behaz says, bullshit, you'll kill us anyway.
Yeah.
And Vel says, because that's what you do, right? No, if we get what we came for, everyone walks away. Even though this is the dirtier side of the rebellion, even though Cassian talks about Rogue One, I've done terrible things for this rebellion. Even though that's true, they still have more honor than the Empire.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part.
And it even calls back to Cassian's conversation with Nemik, how he's like, the Empire doesn't care to learn any of these rules. And the rebellion, even in this, like, they still have that morality within them. They
still have they still have integrity. They still have morality. Yeah. They will not throw away innocent lives. And I'm not saying that B has an innocent life. Far from it. His family, however, is a different story.
Yeah, his kid, definitely.
Yeah, but it is a, like, actually, this is and I just like looked ahead in where my notes was going. We're going, and this has been I think the biggest debate about this series I've seen online ever since. They leave it very ambiguous And I think it's one of those things where, in a very Star Wars way, what's in there, what you take with, only what you take with you. You can believe whatever you want to believe about this moment. I just can't accept I don't think that Cinta killed those hostages. I don't think that Cinta killed them.
Oh, no.
I've seen interpretations of both sides. I just cannot believe that Cinta killed them.
No, I think she left them tied up and went to her thing.
There's been an argument that I've seen, which is she's crying as she's exiting the facility. There are visibly tears on her face after, I think, who was it? Skeen said that she's the toughest of all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm and I saw that argument a few days before I watched this episode. And I'm yeah, that could mean that she killed them, or it could just mean she just pulled off the heist that started the Galactic Civil War, and such pressure would make anybody cry.
Yeah, that they did this heist, and there's going to now be ramifications.
Yeah, and and just and even if there weren't even if they weren't that's a high pressure situation for anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I cannot believe that she is the official, and I'm pretty sure if Jacob was here, he'd say the same thing. It's official. In a Galaxy stand, she does not kill anybody in that base that she has tied up. Speaking of which, with Cinta, tell me you'll be all right.
Oh.
I'll be fine.
Love that scene. So the little shot of just their hands on each other, I was love it.
I like that scene a lot, but there's one problem I have with that scene. Star Wars, for the love of God, make them kiss already.
I know.
Let them kiss, okay? It's
I'm holding out for season 2.
It's 2025. We can do this. It's the 21st century. We can do this. We can have 2 women kiss. It'll be fine.
It will be fine.
It will be fine.
I'm holding out for season 2.
Yeah,
I think maybe they'll do it in season 2.
I was annoyed at it then, but especially since the Acolyte, where Anissa and Coral were clearly married. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying they have to kiss as proof that they're a couple. It's not that I don't believe that Vel and Cinta or that Anissa and Coral are couples. I do believe it. It's just one of those things that we gotta pass the threshold here.
Yeah,
we have to make this thing official. We have to make this thing official that Star Wars will actually live up to the progressive values it preaches.
Somebody has to do it. Tony Gilroy, please.
Come on. Just come on. Another part I'm just looking at right now, the next thing I've written in my notes is just, which I love the contrast of the Donnie people celebrate the arrival, the contrast, cutting back and forth between the heists happening.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those great moments where it's reminded, of course, revolutionary struggle against the Empire, all this stuff's happening. The Donnie are just having a good time with their tradition, and that is important too.
Yeah,
especially because the Empire is, threatening to win. If this hadn't happened, I'm sure by 2 eyes from now, the ceremony wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah. And I love the cutscenes between the two because it just kind of reminds you why they're doing the heist in general.
Exactly.
It's for these people to just have their land, for people to just be free.
Exactly. It's the scene from Rise of Skywalker where they before they actually get to doing anything on Pisana, they experience the festival. And I think there was a commentary on there was I think JJ said something on the director's commentary, which is which was he wanted Rey to have those moments of experiencing celebration and joy and all that kind of stuff.
One of the first times you see her fully smile and have fun. She's dancing.
Everybody's having a good time, and the only the First Order is still a threat. Of course, we see people in the officers on Pisana and all that kind of stuff, but joy can still exist in those moments, and it's very important for it too.
Nice reminder.
Yeah. I forgot about, which is funny because I've seen this as a GIF online so many freaking times that you'd think I would remember it by this point. But I totally my mind was wiped of Skeen's "Let's go" after the vault.
Oh my gosh. That's my favorite because that's when everything starts. It's just a really quiet moment of silence, and he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, and it's the conjunction. What I love is it's the conjunction of that, and then like 30 seconds before it, Cassian going, "They're in."
Yeah,
it's the combination of "they're in," and then a few, and then like they shuffle through, "Let's go," and it's this grand realization that, oh my god, they've done it. Like
they
the
actually
first
did it.
major part of this, the first major part of this heist is actually happening. They're actually doing this. And
the music kicks back in, and it's like, all right,
the music
now,
kicks back
now it's
in.
getting faster.
The music kicks back in. I have not been shy in the past. I know I've made a few jokes here and there. Mo, I know you've been unfortunate enough to be there for a few of them, about how Andor and Rogue One's style of Star Wars may not be my favorite style of Star Wars. I will say, though, one of my favorite parts of this style of Star Wars is something we see in this episode, which is I am such a sucker for us seeing the modern reinterpretations, not reinterpretations, but the modern, with like modern filmmaking and production design techniques of original trilogy designs. Like, I love the original trilogy, don't get me wrong, but there was only so much, of course, they could do with special effects back then and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But just seeing those crisp and clean TIE fighter pilots and like modern cinematography as they get into those TIE fighters, chills. So good.
Shot, a shot we've never really seen before of like behind the TIE fighters, them getting inside.
It's like I'm that is the moment I'm like, okay, yeah, like especially like seeing like modern stormtroopers walking down. I'm like not that the stormtroopers in the 80s didn't look good. Of course, they look great, but just like seeing it with this like the sheeness, like, oh no, this is being filmed now. We have that like presence of that. It just gets me into that very like blood pumping, everything's going. Yeah, it's then we get a lot of shooting. We get as much shooting as we're gonna get in this episode. Of course, we're gonna get more. That's another thing which I'm glad you brought up, which is like the show. Not only the episodes ramping up in arcs, but also the show ramping up, because I feel like as big as the battle gets here, it's actually only going to get bigger once the breakout happens on Arcana 5, and even bigger than that once the riot happens at Rick's Road, because these events are at least story-wise, if not necessarily universe-wise, compounding on each other and getting more intense. And yeah, the real breaking point is announcement, but the real breaking point is Rick's Road. That's when you get the bricks. That's when you get the bricks.
That's when the bricks come into play. That's one of my another favorite line when Gorn is coming down talking to Behaz. And Behaz is just like surprised that he's like doing all this. And he's like, 7 years working under you, I deserve worse.
7 years working under you, I deserve worse. That was the moment where that's a cheer line. That is like, if you're showing this in the theater, that is a cheer line. And I love that because it's just all of this release. I'm so glad that Gorn, before he dies, gets to have that moment.
And you know what?
Okay, fuck you and fuck all of this.
Yeah, and I always think about the line that the Donnie tells him. He's like, may the eye open long enough to see the good in you. And then the eye opens and he has just that final line of 7 years under you, I deserve worse.
Yeah, no,
I did see the good in him.
I did see the good in him. That's the Force, baby. Like, I will.
Yep.
There's a. What was it? It was I was talking to Jacob on an episode we did when we were covering The Cavalry Has Arrived, the final episode of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Of Crosshair making that shot and shooting Hemlock. And I was telling him, I was like, that was the Force. He was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, that was destiny. Like, sure, Crosshair made that shot, but that was destiny. And he was like, okay. I'm like, no, but seriously, like that stuff is destiny. That's the Force at work. And I totally believe that here.
Definitely.
And as they load into the shuttle, everything's going great. And then they forgot, unfortunately, how a bit of gravity works. That if you take the shuttle back,
oh, Nemik, Every time I read that episode, I in my head I'm like, it'll happen different. Nemik, just hold on stronger.
Yeah, Nemik hurts. Nemik really, like, the idealist, the Marxist idealist that is within Nemik being crushed by the very symbol of capitalist imperialism that he is trying to fight will never not be the most horrifying thing in this series.
I know. It's tragically poetic, and I understand why it happened, but I hate it.
I will say, I think if Nemik had written his own death, how he would want it to be, I think probably the only thing different about it would be that he would be older. And that's actually the real tragedy of it, which is like, I think this would be the way he wants to go out. But why would it have to be so soon?
I know. Just a young revolutionary taken too soon.
He was so young, and they emphasize, playing with his toys in the first episode.
Yeah.
The models, and like, yeah, no, he was way too young to go out like this, and
he had such big ideas. Like he just understood the necessary need of like revolution for being so young.
But the other thing that I think is so poignant about it is that his ideas were big, but he didn't actually. The beautiful thing actually about Nemik is he didn't realize how big his ideas would truly become.
Yeah.
Which as we'll talk about, which is that line, of course, the infamous rebellions are built on hope. From Nemik to Cassian, eventually to Jin, that all of this building up to eventually the destruction of the first Death Star.
Yeah.
To the amplified version of Aldhani. One of the first real chances to prove that the Empire can bleed. That's what this is all building up to.
It's so interesting that like he understood that giving that manifesto to Cassian was, I feel like he kind of knew that he saw that in him. He saw that he had that. Yeah. He had that rage, but he had that. I don't even know how to the enthusiasm to actually make a change. And
that moment,
no matter how long it took, he's the guy.
Yeah, that moment at the end where we'll get there, but like that moment at the end where Cassian takes it from Vel is just so heart-wrenching, just because we know what it meant to Nemik, and we know what it will mean to Cassian. That is, I think I just like that moment is the like passing of the torch. Is the I believe in you, that he never got to say to Nemik. But before Nemik has a chance to fully join the Force, he has to remind Cassian to do one thing. It's that one thing.
To climb.
Tony Gilroy. Will never come back. Which will never come back at any point. Which will never come back at any point by anybody else who's close to Cassian.
Tony Gilroy's awful. Can't believe him.
Honestly, like BBY 5 in that first episode, I agree. Yeah.
He is awful. Awful man. Star Wars fan.
Speaking of the, first of all, anything you want to share from the heist itself, or you want to go to the very quick aftermath? Because I'm ready to talk about one of my favorite characters in this episode.
Quadpaw, I'm assuming.
Yes, my guy.
I just want to say, like, I remember watching the Eye for the first time and actually seeing the Eye, and I was like, this is something that George, when he made ILM, envisioned.
Oh yeah,
putting on someone's screen.
Oh, 100%. I think that, like, there's so much, like, I wrote in my notes, this is one of the greatest things ILM has ever done.
Incredible.
And I 100% believe that. I also think, and I'm mostly saying this because I've heard a lot of people giving it shit, but like I think it's stuff like this, and then like the sunset at the end of the Heiress, like, this was emphasized on the Bombad cast episode they did on Underworld, but the technology that George was trying to build for Underworld when he still thought it might actually happen was then picked up by Jon Favreau and turned into what would eventually be the volume. Like, the volume is, for as much shit as I've heard it being given, the next step in the George tradition, in what George was trying to do. But I'm not trying to again, I'm not trying to detract from Andor. I'm all paths forward, I think, have done a splendid job. We've seen with Mando and Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka, what the volume has done. We've seen in Andor what they've done with just CGI tech, and the Acolyte, what they've done with CGI and practical effects beyond. And then, of course, with Skeleton Crew as well, what they've been able to do with bringing back to studios. No, the ILM stuff and all of the effects stuff has carried on George's legacy, I think, beautifully, honestly.
And was there matte paintings in Skeleton Crew? Wasn't there a matte painting as a background?
You're probably right. I think maybe Ad Akron.
Yes, Ad Akron. Yeah, or maybe.
Yeah.
But I think one of them was a matte painting, and I love that because that's so classic Star Wars.
The Daniels episode was, yeah. But yeah, I want to talk about Quadpaw.
Let's get into Quadpaw.
If there is one thing that is a bit of a thing with this series of mine, which is just, I love when Star Wars gets pulpy. I love when Star Wars gets weird. And I
weird character.
And as much as I think this season lacks it, it does get, like, there are moments where it gets it in there. We'll talk about Dewey and Free and
I was like, come on,
in 11, but Quadpaw is another one. Yeah, Vetch is another one. Yeah, but Quadpaw, like,
he won. Yeah,
it's the ultimate jolt of, okay, they're working on okay, we're cutting to the doctor. Wait, why does a doctor have 4 hands? And then we just pan up and what the hell is this weird little guy operating on?
Obsessed with him. I love it because it's like so much of the episode feels so real and real world, and then you get Quadpaw and you're like, oh yeah, this is Star Wars.
This is Star Wars.
You know,
we have to remember what universe we're in, right?
Yeah.
Now, and that's the other thing. Is what's so great about it is he doesn't even have to say anything. That's actually, I think, my favorite part about the pulpy elements of Andor, as little as we get, which is that Vetch doesn't have to say. Vetch literally just walks up and goes,
"What?"
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
and that's all he has to say. And Dewey and Fruity are just like acting like nothing crazy is going on. Like, sometimes we do get the freaking Lulio Primlock in the jar in Solo. Like, Lulio knows what's going on is freaking crazy. Vetch doesn't, and Quadpaw doesn't. They're just doing what they're doing, and that's totally cool too.
Doing their jobs.
they're just getting by. They're Dr. Quadpaw. I'm now trying to imagine Dr. Quadpaw taking like the Star Wars equivalent of the Hippocratic Oath. I swear on all 4 of my arms that I will do no harm. First time.
I actually really hope we see him again. Like somebody gets hurt in season 2, and we're just back on Fresno, back to Quadpaw. Would love
now
that.
I'm just thinking of, like, that is a Dr. Quadpaw MD series would be I am
a medical drama with Quadpaw would be great.
I'm not into like, I've never had any interest in Grey's Anatomy or any of that stuff. Like, no offense to anybody who likes that stuff, but, like, just never my thing. I would watch a Dr. Quadpaw series.
Yeah.
I would 100% watch a Dr. Quadpaw series.
That or, like, Thundercat in Boba Fett with, like,
tech.
That would be fun.
The modern. I am so sorry to Dr. Quadpaw. I would take the modifier over modifier season over Dr. Quadpaw every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
It could just be an anthology series. We got the mod text, and then we got Quadpaw.
There is a moment that I've been thinking about ever since we saw the modifier in that episode. I think it was 4 of Book of Boba Fett, which is the ultimate moment of fan service where the art form that my life is that like I feel like I've dedicated much of my life to, even more than movies and television, obviously centering around Star Wars and fantasy and stuff like that, is music. So whenever I get a musician in Star Wars, I just get so goddamn excited. If somebody cuts themselves in Thundercat's office, and then he freaks out and says, "Nobody move, there's blood on the floor."
That'd be great. I don't know why I thought you were gonna say like he just starts playing the bass. Like
no. Cool I have to say a Thundercat lyric in Star Wars. It would be the cheesiest in reference. It would be the cheesiest fan service ever, but the fan being serviced would be me, and that would be fine.
I would love it, but also I would love like if he just like eventually retired and he's playing on Jabba's palace and just like slapping the bass. That'd be cool too. I would love that.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm totally fine with that. Yeah. And then we get to, I think, really the final thing I wanted to discuss about this episode. Actually, before we do that, is there anything else you want to discuss about this episode? I have this one thing about the aftermath, but if there's anything else, especially with like Luthen or Mon or the ISB that you wanted to talk about, any of those scenes, because I didn't have anything specific for those, except for it was nice to see the, implications that we'll get into more next episode.
Yeah, I just liked seeing Mon kind of giving her speech, and everyone's just like tuning out, and eventually she kind of realizes that it's like, oh, this isn't normal tuning out. Like something's happening.
This is actual tuning. This is actual tuning out. Now, Mon's always been my favorite part of the show. I love the political wheeling and dealing. I'm very much considering. I've heard so many good things about that new Reign of the Empire book.
I gotta get that.
I've heard so many fantastic things. I don't know if you've listened to, but Alex Damon keeps recommending in his reviews of that book. He's kept saying over and over again, for fans of Andor, you will love this book.
Okay, I'll get it.
For fans of Andor, you will love this book. He said it like 5 times. But the final thing of this episode, which I love, and I'm especially excited, I think this is the 3rd episode in a row I've talked about this, and will be the final one because obvious reasons. But I really enjoy. I haven't watched The Bear, I know, but so this was like a big introduction to me for Even Moss background.
Okay.
Which I'm very excited for because now he's going to be the Thing in the Fantastic Four.
That's right, in his Disney bag.
Yeah, his turn as Skeen at the end of this episode is so good. Maybe one of the highlights of this episode for me is his turn as Skeen because it's just so well done. Like it's one of those things where, like, I think the writing maybe could have hinted at it a little bit better earlier in the episode, but the performance is just so good.
It's like the darkness in his performance and the music, like, together. I was like, oh no.
and the way he gets you to build that anger against him. We talk about there are so many great characters in this series that really get you to hate them. Of course, chief among them, the one who I named an entire freaking episode about, called *** Perrin.
Hate that dude.
God, I hate that man. I hate that guy. Alistair Mackenzie is brilliant, but only in how much
a great job.
he gets me to despise that son of a. I had a moment last episode where we were talking. Jake and I were talking about that. The moment where Mon and Lita start fighting, and Perrin just leans back in his chair like, "Oh, let's go! I'm so excited for this." I'm like,
he's such a punk, dude. He's such a punk.
Get out of here! This is your life partner and your offspring fighting. You should not be enjoying this. You should not be enjoying
literally,
jackass. But that chilling moment where Cassian starts to wake up, to not wake up, but realize what's happening, and like the great moment, building up to. I actually wonder if I'm surprised nobody has asked Tony Gilroy about this moment, or Dan Gilroy, who wrote this episode, but like that's it. There's a lot, and I mean this in a positive way. it's very reminiscent of Han and Beckett at the end of Solo. There's very now Beckett and Han have a more father-son relationship, whereas Cassian and Skeen have built up a bit more of what I call a brotherly relationship. But the dynamic is still the same. They're both killing the person who was the warning, who was what they could have become if they weren't careful. And them both, like, cutting them off before they're able to say the final thing with, no, I've chosen who I want to be, and it isn't you.
Yeah.
Which I think
what's the most interesting thing about Skeen is that really what was holding him together was Nemik. And Nemik being gone, I think that kind of just made him an opportunist in that moment. Because if Nemik had lived, I don't think he would have turned. Like, I think he would have held out some hope.
For me, I thought it was like, I'm not sure because the whole thing, I would agree with you except for the fact that, like, the whole Cassian was that great exchange. But your brother, I don't have a brother.
I think he was lying. I do think he had a brother. I think he was just trying to get Cassian to turn.
I fully believed he was lying the entire time, that in that moment he was telling the truth and he didn't have a brother and he was just totally bullshitting, and he was just like, he joined because he wanted to stick to the Empire and the prize was huge, and he thought, oh well, I'll just kill the fuckers after this and take all the cash. I'm wondering, like, and I'm not saying it was only one thing. That's the beautiful thing about this is that, there could have been a part of him thinking that. It's the dynamic with I'm thinking about it now with the dynamic of Bode in Jedi Survivor. Where it's like, you don't know what he's thinking. We don't know what Skeen is thinking. But yeah, no, I'm much like the Solo scene. I really enjoy how sudden the shot is.
The draw,
it's not only that you don't see it coming; it's that Cassian doesn't see this coming.
Yeah,
it's almost like he has the thought. It goes from his brain to his arm in like half a second, and he just fires before I think even he has a chance to think about it.
Yeah, it was like reflexive.
It was instinctual. Yeah, it was like, oh no, you gotta go.
Yeah,
I can't let this happen. Yeah, unless you have anything else, then we'll wrap up our talk about the episode specifically. But
I think that might be it. One of my favorite episodes. I do love.
Yeah, no, my favorite episode of the episodes we've covered so far in Andor. My favorite episode of the bunch. Great ending to 2 episodes of build up and great build up. We have seen, the inciting incident of the Galactic Civil War go down, and it's all a roller coaster ride downhill from here. See the aftermath in 6, and I mean this in a compliment, grueling episodes. Truly, like from announcement to then to Narkina 5 to then the 2 final ones. We got a ways to go. We got to ride with the series, with the second half of this season. But before we wrap this up, we have some questions that we ask our first time guests that I'd love to ask Mo right now. We have 10 of these questions. Usually Jake and I are alternating these. This is the first time in a while I've asked all of them. The first one is a very complicated question. So I understand if you don't have an answer immediately. Who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor. Gotta have 2. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's I wouldn't have expected a different answer from you, honestly. So that
right.
That makes sense. Yeah. What is your favorite? What is your Star Wars movie ranking? If you don't have a ranking, you can just do like a favorite or a top 3 or 5 or whatever you want to do.
I think I could do top 5.
Okay.
So Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire. Man, it gets tough from here. I guess I would say Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith.
All right. What is a piece of non-movie Star Wars media that you think people are missing out on?
La Máquina is a show with Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal. Diego Luna is obviously in Star Wars, but it's about a Mexican boxer, and lots of drama ensues. Very good. It's on Hulu.
Absolutely. Disney in addition to that, I was sorry. I think we need to reword this question. I was talking about specifically Star Wars media.
Oh, Star Wars media.
That's not movie. That's not a movie. That
that's not movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, The Acolyte. Probably one of my favorite shows that they've released, aside from Andor, obviously. But I think I love the boldness that it took. I love that the stakes were high, that characters you thought would make it through just didn't. And you know what? I still hold out for, a renewal.
I do as well. I remember, I think it was Hitini on BlueSky was putting they're doing their awards for like the best Star Wars media of last year, and they were putting up their offers for best show, and it was 2024. It was Acolyte, Bad Batch season 3, and Skeleton Crew. I'm like, I really like Skeleton Crew. I love the end of Bad Batch.
It's fun.
This is not a competition. This is not a competition. The Acolyte is just so goddamn good. Leslie Headland gets this so well.
She does.
Toxic ass fucking people.
Yeah.
We would have gotten
some great Star Wars.
Just some beautiful Star Wars. We already got a season of beautiful Star Wars. Yeah. A classic. Who is your favorite Star Wars background character? Gulf Shido, whatever you want to call it.
Probably Vetch. I love that dude. We love just a big dude, that just is there.
Just chilling, man. Just chilling.
He said all I had to do was stand here.
all you had to. Yeah, I just looking at the Wikipedia page for this guy, and I forgot that this species was actually introduced in Force Awakens. Is interesting, but yeah, that's fantastic. What, in your opinion, is the coolest Star Wars species?
Dang. The coolest Star Wars species is Anzellans.
Hey.
They're just great. I'm actually obsessed with them. And I was really happy that they were in Mando. I love seeing little guys.
I don't know if you saw, but there may or may not be some clips of the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer that was shown at one of those conventions. I think it was D23 Brazil that's been floating around the internet, and I think we saw Anzellans in that leaked footage.
Love that. So, I love it because they're not just little guys; like they're also like engineers. Like
they're
good. Droids.
They do good stuff. If you need droids memory, go black. You call it that's what you do.
The droid is ready. Like, come on.
Droid is ready. God, love them. If you were in the Star Wars universe, what would your job be?
So I guess this is not canon because it's in Visions, but I don't care because it's canon to me.
Still canon.
A sabersmith.
Oh, like in The Ninth Jedi?
Yeah, I would do that for sure.
You'd be like palling around with like Hu Yang and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Like yeah, Hu Yang would be my best friend, obviously.
Fantastic. Like I wouldn't want a friend other than David Tennant. So
Yeah.
The next question is, this is one of the ones we're trying out. If you could write your own piece of Star Wars media, what do you think it would be about?
Man, probably like Saw's partisans. More in depth of like what they do and their struggles. Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of Reign of the Empire, one of the main characters I hear of it is Saw. So.
Okay, now I have to get the book.
Yeah, Reign of the Empire. The first Reign of the Empire book is a Mon Saw Bale book. So.
Nice. All right, yeah, we're getting that.
Yeah. I'm very interested in this. And again, I've heard great things about it. If you could take one item or force ability from Star Wars into the real world, what would it be?
One item or force ability. I think I'm just going to do the classic force pull because, the remote's too far.
Oh,
yeah. Open some doors. Like, going to the grocery store and the door is open and me just doing that. I
believe Jacob and I answered these questions. This was probably a year and a half ago or something like that. And my answer was the same. It was telekinesis. It was like, you got to reach something, and we've all done it.
It's classic. Like I do it now, but it'd be cool to actually do it, and something happens.
No, absolutely. All right. This question used to be last, but now it is second to last because we did some reordering of this. Very simple premise. I'm going to show you a character, and you're going to tell me how you pronounce that character's name.
Ooh.
No pressure, except for maybe a little bit, because this is the In a Galaxy question.
Zam Wessel.
Yes, again, this bit has been way overplayed because 95% of people pronounce it like you do. And then there are some people, Delmore, who pronounce it wrong and say Zam Wessel, because that's how Leanna Walsman, who played Zam Wessel in Clones, and also voiced her in the Bounty Hunter video game, pronounced it in Bounty Hunter. The Wikipedia page is no help because it says both are fine. I'm like, what, both? That's not how this works.
Yeah.
But we've been preaching the Wessel with the West Gospel for a long time. In Lego, I got my vindication in Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga when the first chapter of that was called "A Wrestle with," not Wessel. That wouldn't make sense for the rhyme scheme. It's Wessel. Right. That's how it works.
Obviously.
And finally, this is the other new question that we're trying out, which I'm very excited to ask to all of our guests going forward, which is, what has Star Wars meant to you in your life?
Woo! Star Wars has meant probably a lot of things to me, but most importantly, hope. It's like, just the beginning of it is a new hope, and having some, especially, today, the world we live in, the administration we live in, having hope and not letting go of that. That's definitely what it means to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't put it much better than that. One final question I actually have for you is just, where can we find you out there on the internet, Mo? Thanks so much for joining us in this episode. Yeah,
of course. You can find me on Twitter, that I'm gonna head back on now that Andor's coming up, at Jin My Stardust, and you'll see me tweeting a lot about Andor and Diego Luna. Maybe Felicity Jones. I'm still holding out for Jin in season 2. I'm a believer.
We'll see. I'm very interested. That's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Thank you so much again to Mo for joining us. Next week, Jacob will be back. We will be covering episode 7 of Andor: A Star Wars Story Announcement, which, like Mo has said, is and I agree with Mo on this, is one of my favorite episodes of the season.
It's my favorite. I love it.
I think the Narkina 5 episodes might be a little higher, but like the run from Announcement to One Way Out is just great. Just all of it, just fantastic. In the meantime, you can find us everywhere mostly on BlueSky now, but everywhere else at In a Galaxy Pod. You can find me everywhere. My link tree to find me everywhere is linktr.ee/_OGFan327. You can find links to us everywhere on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts, we'll be there. If we're not, you can email us with other messages and all that kind of stuff at swinagalaxy@gmail.com. And I'm trying to think, Epic Confrontations. We've been having some troubles getting it up, but I think late February, if not early March, we will be back with quite a few matches. Mo right here will be joining her teammate Buck O'Brien as Tommy Two Horns in the first ever Epic Confrontations team's title match against Bangers and Smash, Charlie Ashby and Nikki Kumar for this whole thing over here. The team's title belt. That's what it's for.
Mine. It's mine and Bugs.
We do have 2 of these. Don't worry. Like you'll have to share. We did make 2 of these.
Excellent.
Addition. The other match we're trying to do. The Coaxium Run, which we're very excited to premiere. Our good friends Goose and Andy.
Goose.
Heading up both teams of the Coaxium Run, as well as a third match that we've been working on, which I can't reveal yet, but it's almost done and we're very excited about it. Either way, I think all there's left to say is, may the Force be with you always.